Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and in this video what I want to do is cover the best tips that I can give you guys for leveling up if you're a new player, especially kind of go over how the gear score is calculated and how all that's done. And if you're kind of a veteran player, cover the powerful sources if you've, missed a season or two, and even the pinnacle sources if you're trying to hit that max gear score. So let's jump into leveling and cover everything there is. If you're a veteran player and you want to skip ahead, just check out the timeline. I'll break it into segments and you guys can jump into whatever's useful. Here we go. All right, so for the newer players, what I want to cover with you guys is what your power level is made up of and how it's kind of calculated in the game and a couple important factors about it. So as you guys can see, you have a power level, big yellow number, 1314. That is my power level. It's what the game kind of considers me to be at. My gear score is currently 1306, and that's the average of my 8 pieces of gear. So my 5 pieces of armor, and then my 3 weapons. Take all those, divide by 8, and chop off any decimals, basically rounding down, and that's where that number comes from. As for the bonus, that is from the artifact. That is separate from any gear and basically separate from everything else in this video, but that basically just comes from your artifact. Any experience that you earn will give you a bonus power, and the game will basically see your character at a higher level. And this is something, no matter what you do in the game, you'll be earning experience. So even if you can't do some of the more difficult activities, you can still put time into lower activities, get experience from those, and still get a higher bonus power. There's really no cap to this, but it does get longer and longer to earn each subsequent level after, the previous one. So if currently it says 825,000 experience for, the power bonus to go from +8, which I'm currently at, to +9, the next one could be 975 or 1.1 million. I don't know the exact scaling, but just know each one that you get, the next one's going to be a little bit longer, just so you're clear. So that's the power bonus and the gear score. Couple tips when it comes to your gear in itself. You do not have to have your highest piece of gear equipped for the game to know what your highest gear score is. And the reason your highest gear score is important is because that's how the game will calculate your future drops. So currently, if I put on this really low level weapon of 1282, the game still knows that I own, say, this piece of gear that's 1311 that will bump up my power quite a bit. So it still knows that I own that. So when it goes to calculate whatever my highest gear score is, and therefore, what the next drop should be, the game is aware whether it's equipped, not equipped, or even sitting in my vault, or maybe even on another character. Cool thing about Destiny is as long as it exists on your account, the game knows it and accounts for that. So you don't have to keep your highest stuff equipped. Just don't delete your highest stuff and you'll be good to go. If you ever want to check what your highest piece of gear or your highest gear score possibly is, the Season Pass is actually a really good place to do that. Find any of the weapons on the Season Pass, and you can see mine actually shows 1310. So if I find all my highest pieces of gear and equip those, I'm going to be 1310 and probably some fraction. But that's one of those cool things about it. You don't always have to be using the highest piece of gear. That being said, if you're in a higher level activity, you probably should be using higher gear, because if you have low level armor and your power level's low, you're likely going to be taking more damage. And if you're using a low-level weapon, you're not going to be doing as much damage. Like this 1100 sidearm, if I jumped into an activity that required, say, recommended 1300 power level, it would probably seem like I was shooting peanuts at the enemies, not bullets. So again, make sure you're using higher-level weapons if the activity asks for higher-level gear on a recommendation. So some things may ask for 1220, 1240, but if it says, 1300... try and get close to 1300. Now, you can mix it up. You could be like 1287, but this one still is probably going to be less efficient than even, something that's 1300 even, just because it's sub the recommended power level. Try and always match the recommended power level. You're going to be better off. So that's how the gear is calculated. It's done on averages of all your gear score, and it's rounded down. So if I'm 13... say I was like 1306.99999. I'm still 1306 until I cross over that threshold of 1307. Then I'm 1307 for a max gear score. So you can be almost there and still not quite get it. Now, before I go any farther, if you are a new player, I'm going to cover something called Destiny Item Manager. It's a very crucial and important thing pretty much all of you guys should use. So let me pull that up real fast. This is Destiny Item Manager. Fairly zoomed in, but it's a very, very valuable resource that you can use. I'll zoom out. My vault is crazy packed. Don't worry about that. I'm a hoarder. It's my own problem, so ignore that part. That being said, if you take a character, like up here in the top left corner, you can see my Titan. And My Titan currently has a max total power of 13, 18, and 6/8. I've got a gear score of 13, 10, and 6/8, and I've got an artifact bonus of 8. So obviously you guys saw that stuff already. Now, the gear score, as I said, is a fraction, 13, 10, and 6/8. You guys can see currently my weapon, 2 of my weapons are 13, 11. My heavy's 13, 10. Got a 13, 11 helmet. 2 of my pieces of armor are 13, 10. I've got a 13, 12 pair of boots and a 13, 11 mark. So all of that is averaged together to be 13, 10, and 6/8. Now, why does this matter? The main reason is if you have some smaller, pickups of gear that you can get that are going to give you little boosts in certain places, or you can actually fill in gaps that are potentially lacking as you level up, you're actually going to be better off. Now, I'm at a point where only certain sources are going to level me up, so that's a different story entirely. But if I click over here on my hunter, you're going to notice some big disparity. Weapons, as I said, are usable between all characters, so it really doesn't matter what weapons you've got, as long as you've got weapons at a high level. But you'll notice some of these are like 1300, 1303. This, I haven't played this character in a little bit, it's a little out of whack. That being said, currently, say I'm 1305 and 2/8. And say I get a piece of gear that is 1300. Right here for the arms, that's -5. 5 levels below my current gear. Even if I get something at my level, not even above it, that's going to bump me up 5/8. So that would take me to 1305 and 7/8. And again here with my helmet, even if I get a piece of gear at my level at 1305, that would bump me up another level to 1305 here. So that'd be, 1 higher. That would actually make me 1306. And that would increase my max gear score just by getting a couple pieces of gear that were at my level. So if you have any stat slots that are like really lagging behind, you're like, I'm doing good, I just cannot get boots to save my life, they're like really slacking, and you're looking up here and it shows 1305 and, say maybe this one's 1305 and 6/8, and this is a -4. When you go through, and I'll cover this when you get to the powerful gear section, but blue gear that drops is going to be beneficial for a while, but when we're in the powerful gear section, blue gear, which isn't anything you typically want to hold on to, because it's just rare, nothing too special about it, but it can drop up to at your level. It can drop at like, a couple levels below you, right below, or at your level. Now, sometimes it's hard to farm for a specific piece of gear at your level because it could be below, but if you're really trying to be efficient, going around and just doing any basic activity, some blues could drop right at your level, and those can be beneficial to help you, fill in holes every so often. So if you're trying to be ultra efficient, you can do that, but, sometimes it's not worth the time. But every so often, don't throw away those blues if you have a slot falling behind. If a blue does drop in that slot, maybe it could be the thing that bumps you up enough to increase your level. So I did want to point out why these fractions are important, why it's really nice to be able to look at the differences of, pieces of gear that are lacking versus pieces of gear that are not going to really make that much of a difference. So that is Destiny Item Manager. Very, very helpful thing. If you got questions, let me know in the comments, but let's jump back into the game and we'll go over some more stuff. All right, so now what we're going to go over is the leveling in the game. So now if you guys skipped over how gear score is calculated in Destiny Item Manager and you guys want to go over the powerful gear sources and pinnacle gear sources, that's why most of you guys are here. So the level caps for Season of the Splicer, and this video is going to be active for Season of the Splicer, which is going to be May 11th through August 24th. Anything after that could change, but this seems to be most of it's in here. If there's any major changes, I will definitely comment below. But that being said, leveling will work as follows. If you're a brand new player, you're going to start at 1100. The soft cap is 1260. The hard cap, or powerful cap, however you want to call that, that's going to be 1310. And then the pinnacle cap is going to be 1320. Now, let me break all of those down. The soft cap is basically if you're under, once you hit 1260, you hit the soft cap. So anything under that will work as follows. Basically, if you go into anything on your directory, and yours may not even look like this if you're a new character. If you go do any activity, you go play Strikes, you go play Crucible Match, you play some Gambit, you go to a planet, you just run around and shoot people, you're going to get engrams that drop that turn into gear when you pick them up. And when you pick up that gear, it's likely going to be, 1, 2, 3 levels above you. So make sure, as you're going through and playing the game, just doing basic leveling up, that you just make sure you do not delete the highest piece of gear in each slot. You don't need to hold on to anything that's below your highest piece of gear unless it's something you want to keep. A good roll on a weapon, a high stat rolled legendary piece of armor, that stuff you may want to keep. But if it's a blue piece of gear especially, there's really no reason to hold on to those except to level up. So if you have a rare pair of boots that's 1325, or sorry, say it's 1225, and then you get a new rare pair of boots that's like 1230, well, the 1225 pair of boots, gone. So don't hold on to rare stuff. The only thing, the perks on legendaries, those can be stuff that you want to hold on to, especially the weapons. But when it comes to blues, those are just used to level up. And anything you get is going to be leveling you up from 1100 to 1260. When you hit 1260, the game definitely changes. At 1260, your screen of your destination directory is going to look more like this. You're going to see these little yellow icons in places, and those are going to be your weekly challenges. Now, the weekly challenges, let's pull one of them up so you guys can see it, are going to look like this. So if I come over here to Gambit, for example, whether it's a vendor or an activity, they're going to have these little challenge sections beneath them. Once you've finished that activity, this will go away for the week. Weekly resets happen on Tuesday. Currently, server resets are 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that is with daylight savings time in there. So keep that in mind, depending on if you see this video much later. But you can see it says weekly Gambit bounties. Complete 8 bounties. I'm going to get a powerful gear, piece of powerful gear, and it's going to drop at tier 1. Powerful engrams have 3 different tiers. Tier 1, it's going to drop at +3. So say you just hit that soft cap of 1260, you're like, all right, now what do I do? You go do 8 Gambit bounties, and when you finish those 8 Gambit bounties, you're going to get 1 piece of gear that drops. And if it's tier 1, it will drop at 1263. So that's how tier 1 works. Basically, it's a +3 drop. Then you've got things that are going to drop as tier 2. These are going to drop as a +4. So currently you guys can see Clan XP. Now you may not know a clan, but you can always search some on the Bungie.net app. Just try and find a reasonable clan that's not trashy, and as long as you can contribute XP by doing activities to that clan, you may not even play with those people until you find a clan that you're really attached to. But at least if you're in a clan, you can earn this engram, and this is an important one. So make sure you join some decent clan that's not trash. Maybe you'll be cool with people. Maybe you'll switch to another one later on. But be in a clan to earn these engrams, always important for leveling up. Tier 2s are +4. And then there are not many of these sources, but there are some that will show as tier 3, like this, for example. And those are going to be a +5. So if you're 1260 and you go jump into Deepstone Crypt with some friends, you're going to be getting items that are, say, 1265 until they bump up your average, and they might be getting 1266 or 1267, depending on how many drops you get in there. So, and the reason you want to do this in order, you want to do tier 1s first, then tier 2s, which there are not that many of, and then tier 3s. So the main reason you want to do your tier 1s first is take, pair of gauntlets, for example. Say these are 1300. Cool. I do a piece of powerful, I do a powerful tier 3, for example. I go into the raid and I get 1305 gauntlets. That's awesome. I got a boost. Now I go back to the drifter in the tower and I do 8 bounties and I do his tier 1 and I pick that up and it's also gauntlets. That is also going to be in the same slot, but that's 1303. So now I used one of my limited resource of powerful engrams on a drop that is lower than something I already got. Now, this may happen in the reverse order. You may get a pair of gloves that's 1303. Well, you know what? That's cool, 3 levels up. And then you may go get gloves that are 1305. It may not be as big of a bump, but the idea is, at least if you do the low stuff first, you're likely, at least in RNG, you're going to get a few pieces that tend to spread themselves out unless you're just unlucky, but you're likely to level up your average gear score at least a little bit. So then by the time you get to the +4s and then the +5s especially, your average is going to be higher, and then those +5s are going to give you even more benefit. If you do it in the reverse order, I could do a couple +5s, and I could raise my, say my average from 1300 to 1301. Even if I still then did a tier 1, I could get a 1304, and then it's still not helpful. So again, you want to make sure you do your powerful gear sources that are tier 1s first, then tier 2s, and then tier 3s. Now, this holds from any time from 1260 all the way up to 1310. That is the powerful or hard cap. I've heard it called 2 different things. Powerful cap makes sense because you're getting powerful engrams to me. While you're leveling up in that stage, you're also still going to see some of these things that show pinnacle gear. These, while you're leveling up, as long as you're sub 1310, these are going to function the exact same way as something that is tier 3. These are going to give you a +5. So same thing, tier 1, tier 2, and then you can do your pinnacles / tier 3s as you're leveling up. You're going to be doing these on a weekly basis in a bunch of different places. One that's not very obvious is Crucible. If you go to Crucible, you're going to have a Valor rank. And if you go to Survival, you're going to have a Glory rank. As you can see, there are ranks within, there are tiers to the ranks. You can do Glory, so you can do like Guardian 1, up here by name, Guardian 2, Guardian 3. And then you can be like Hero 1. When you change names, like when you get 3 different ranks and you go to the next named style of rank, so like Hero or Fable or Legend, there's different names of these things. When you change name, you actually will get some powerful drops as well. So spending some time in Crucible actually does have a benefit for leveling up. So if you are looking to, level up your character, you just hit 1260, you're going through doing a lot of your tier 1s, it honestly would benefit you a lot to spend some time in PvP, both in the regular playlists and then also in the competitive playlist, which is Survival. Because you're going to be, for one, this is a powerful tier 1 just by getting 7 rounds. But as you level up your Glory and your Valor between these different playlists, when you increase ranks, you're going to be getting drops that will help you level as well. So don't forget about Crucible as a good way to level up when you're going from 1260 to 1310. Now, at 1310, you tend to hit a bit of a wall. 1310 is the hard cap, or powerful cap, whatever you want to call it. And at that point, you're trying to get the last little bit of gear score that you can, which is going to be to the Pinnacle Cap. And that is going to be 1320 this season. So it's 10 more. That tends to be what they're holding on to for that one. To go from 1310 to 1320, you need to do these items that say Pinnacle Gear. Now, some of these, and I wish they would actually tell you this, that say Pinnacle Gear are going to be considered a +1. So if I've hit the hard cap or the powerful cap of 1310, and I go into the Gambit playlist and I do 3 matches, I'm going to get a piece of gear that is 1311. That's it. That's as high as that one's going to go. But on the other side, there are some sources, take for example, the Empire Hunt. Here, you can see the complete any Empire Hunt on Master difficulty. That one is going to give me a +2 pinnacle. So if I'm 1310 and I complete this one on Master, then I'm going to get a 1312 piece of gear. So there is a distinction. Some are +1s, some are +2s. Just as before with the powerful, just as with the powerful engrams, do the +1s first, and then do the +2s. Now, this season, your +1s are going to be as follows. Your Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit main playlists. So Gambit, your main playlist here, only one that exists. For Vanguard, your Vanguard strikes, I've already done it, but basically it's just going to be 3 strikes in the Vanguard playlist, and all you need to make sure and do is make sure your subclass, so Arc, Solar, or Void, or even Stasis, matches the subclass that is available here as the Singe. And the Singe basically just increases damage from both enemies and you. So it's going to make you more powerful in the strike anyway, so you may as well run it. But you need to do 3 strikes that match this source. For Crucible, the pinnacle is 3 matches in any of the core playlists. Control, Rumble, Elimination. This is your weekly rotator. Currently it's Showdown, but it changes on a weekly basis. And if Iron Banner is here, it counts for those as well. So those are your core playlists. Iron Banner is active like once a month or so. And that is going to be just 3 matches in those playlists. That will count as a +1. Then you've also got your clan XP. Now, if you haven't done this one yet, and you've hit the clan, and you've hit that 1310, hard cap, now, while it doesn't list it, this actually functions as a pinnacle and as a +1 pinnacle. So if you get your 5,000 clan XP for the week, when you pick this one up, if I'm 1310, this will actually work as a 1311. The difference is, this is the only one that works like this, and I have no idea why. I wish they would fix it, but it's how it works. This, for example, if I'm 1310 and I pick up this, if I do my 8 bounties for Banshee, a powerful gear tier 1 is only going to give you still a 1310. Anything that says powerful on it is never going to get you above 1310. So anything that says a powerful reward besides this one, for example, it's just weird. Most everything that says powerful gear is always going to give you 1310. That's pretty much it. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There is a new seasonal activity in the Helm. If you are part of Season of the Splicer, when you go into Override, you're going to have chests at the end that you open with keys. I've covered that whole thing in a separate video of the Splicer Gauntlet and the Conflux chest and all that. If you open 3 of those chests, that also counts for a +1. So that is your +1 pinnacles. Now let's get into the +2 pinnacles, which are going to be your bigger boost to leveling up. We'll go through kind of planet left to right. So first we've got your Exo Simulation. If you do this one, you'll get a +2. So these are the ones that would drop as 1312. As I said, you had your Empire Hunt at Master Difficulty. That's a +2. If we come out of here and we go into Crucible, Trials of Osiris, which is this icon that is not lit up. It is lit up on the weekends from Daily Reset, which is, again, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, to Weekly Reset, which is Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Trials of Osiris is like the competitive playlist where you got to get, you have a card, you got to get so many wins before you get too many losses. If you can get 7 wins, then you can get a +2 pinnacle. And if you can go flawless, you'll get another +2 pinnacle. So bonus is in there for you. Iron Banner has bounties that you can do. Currently got them active right now. Each bounty is also going to be considered a +2 pinnacle. So 4 bounties just by hanging out in one playlist that are going to give you a +2 pinnacle for each one of them. Iron Banner is around about once a month, but if you're trying to like increase your power, your gear score in that pinnacle department, and you don't have a lot of people to play with, spend some time in Iron Banner. While it's Crucible and PvP, and some people have their thoughts about that one, it is still one of the best places for a lot of pinnacle sources in one playlist. So Iron Banner bounties, when Iron Banner is active, if you're looking for that pinnacle increase, don't forget about those bounties. They're quite important. So then we can come down, and if you go into the tower, you're going to have the Prophecy Dungeon. It's the most recent dungeon. If you defeat the Kel Echo, which is the final boss in the whole dungeon, so you got to get through the whole thing, beat the final boss, you'll get 1 drop, usually a piece of armor, I think. Not always, but tends to be. And that one is going to be, obviously, a +2. Down here in the European Dead Zone, we have a previous exotic quest mission. This one's going to be Harbinger, which gets you Hawkmoon if you don't have it, but that's going to give you a +2 pinnacle. Tangled Shore. This one is currently not showing correctly and also not functioning correctly, but it should be considered a +2 pinnacle as well. Currently, I believe it's bugged with this season. I think it's one of those things they're trying to fix in a patch or something in the future. But right now, this exotic quest should be considered a pinnacle. It's not right now, so every week, check in, see if maybe a hotfix has corrected this one. But if it doesn't show pinnacle, don't try and do it for a pinnacle. If you don't have the scout rifle that comes from here, definitely jump in and do it. But if you're trying to grind out pinnacles and it doesn't show, don't expect to get one from it. And that's basically all of your pinnacles as well. So that is your +2 pinnacles. So a quick recap. Basically what we've got. 1100, you start your character. Up until 1260, you can do whatever you want in the game. It's up to you. Strikes, shooting people on a planet, patrols, public events, does not matter. Once you hit 1260, that is the soft cap. From there, it takes powerful engrams, or any of those weekly challenge engrams that you can see, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or power or pinnacles, and those will give you the +3s, +4s, and +5s respectively. Please do them in that order so you get the most efficiency out of them, and those are going to be what you do up until you hit 1310, which is the powerful / hard cap. At 1310, the only thing that's going to increase you from there is going to be anything that states pinnacle outside of Hawthorne's weird, odd label in the tower. The easy stuff to do, your 3 chests in the override mission, your playlist activities, and then your clan XP, those are going to be considered +1s. And then everything else is going to be considered +2. There's one more that is not listed, and that is right here, Legends. Vault of Glass is going to launch on Saturday. That is a raid from Destiny 1 that has been freshened up and probably changed up a little bit for Destiny 2, and that is going to be the new raid this season, and that is going to be dropping pinnacles the way Deepstone Crypt used to. That is going to be the raid that drops pinnacles that are +2 in each encounter. So like every fight or boss that you beat in there that drops loot, I can't remember if it's 3 or 4, but each encounter in there is going to be considered a +2 pinnacle drop, and that launches on Saturday. I was debating on how long to wait to make this video, but it's going to be right here. Once you jump in, it's a 6-person co-op activity. It's really cool if you've never done a raid. Vault of Glass is the first one that honestly kicked off Destiny. Should be a very cool experience, I'm hoping for a lot of people. But that is leveling in Destiny. Try not to overthink it. Destiny Item Manager is definitely your friend. If you don't use it, please check it out. And then depending on how, efficient you want to be, remember as you're leveling up, those blue engrams, especially even up until you hit 1310, those can fill in gaps. If one slot is lagging behind and you get a blue, maybe that could be something that just brings it up to your current level, and that still could give you a boost in the fractions department. So that's everything I got for leveling. Hopefully this is helpful. This should be valid for pretty much all of Season of the Splicer. That is, again, from May 11th through August 24th. Season 15 will start on August 24th, I think, as well. And then at that point, things may change, or it could be very similar. We're not entirely sure until we get there. But hopefully this is helpful for you guys. If it was, please, drop a like below. Those are always helpful for the channel. If there's anything I missed or anything substantial changes throughout this season, I will come back to this video, put a comment, and pin it up there to the top. And if you guys comment something major I missed, I'll make a list of those things and just put it in a pinned comment. So check and see if there's a pinned comment there from me. That'll give you guys any other information I may have missed. But if you did enjoy this video, also, please hit that subscribe button. It's a nice free way to support the channel. And if you guys want to see future videos from me about Destiny, guides, tips, or anything that's going on in this world, or anything else basically, hit that alert bell next to the subscribe button. It's a nice way for my videos to hopefully make it into your YouTube feed. If you guys want to check me out on Twitter, be it news or anything I've got going on, I'm Ebontis over there. And then I also stream usually Destiny's on Tuesday on Twitch, but I also do other variety streaming on Twitch as well. So if you want to see me playing other games from Dark Souls to action adventures, a whole mix of things, check me out over on Twitch. Thank you guys very much. Good luck in leveling. And if you're on PC, maybe I'll see you in game. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.